you guys all see it by any chance? It's gorgeous, it's outside. Did you happen to notice that I am the only female speaker in the array of speakers here today at the show? Thank you. I am so glad to know that you don't need a certain appendage to actually get up and speak at an ASI event. So I had to get that out of the way right now. Hi everyone, it's so nice of you to join me. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Tonia Gould, and I am the distributor owner of 16-year-old TAG, the Creative Source. We're a consumer promotions and marketing agency headquartered up in Camarillo, California. At TAG, we assist buyers who are looking to boost traffic leads or sales through the effective use of promotional products in the marketing mix, with hopefully some measurable ROI in there. I'm a selling owner. What that basically means to you is that I get my Watuski up out of my chair and I go out and physically call on our key accounts. So you can be assured that I have a pretty good pulse on many markets and what key buyers are looking for in this kind of crazy mixed up economy today. My personal niche market is the entertainment industry, where I call on accounts such as the Walt Disney Company, where we service almost 90 collective buyers. I mentioned the Walt Disney Company specifically because it was Disney that nominated TAG last year as a Supplier of the Year through the Women's Business Enterprise National Council. Wow. We flew out to Las Vegas, Nevada. We didn't come home with any money, but we came home with one of the beautiful awards that came to us through Disney's nomination. So as you can imagine, that was a pretty major coup for TAG and certainly for me. What I hope you will learn from me today is that to be successful in any market, you need to step out of the obvious and be forward-thinking in the development, the execution, and the management of brand campaigns. I personally want you to know that you do have the ability to drive and influence the direction of a brand with your work through promotional product sales. So hopefully by the end of the session, you'll be able to define or distinguish on your own which way a brand can go. Okay, so right after that, we will lead into an actual presentation, a campaign that TAG built for one of our own customers, Motive Entertainment, for a film that released, I think, a couple of days ago in theaters entitled There Be Dragons. All right, so let's get down to business. I wanted to get a clear understanding of how long you all have been in the promotional products industry, so do me a favor, raise your hand for me if you've been in the industry for, let's say, 2 years or less. Okay? And how many of you have been in the industry for, let's say, 2 to 5 years? Okay, anybody over 5 years experience that consider themselves to be industry veterans? Okay, that's really good to know. ASI mentioned to me today that a lot of you would be coming in here as relative newbies, basically new to the industry with very little experience under your belt, but I can see by the show of hands that we actually have some tenure in here, so hopefully I've created a presentation that is tailored to you all. So right off the bat, let's talk, oops, sorry, this is not my strong suit here. Right off the bat, I wanted to actually talk about building a killer campaign. When ASI gave me my topic to speak about, building killer campaigns, it actually took me a while to get going on creating a presentation because I struggled with the word building. And the reason why is because I've been doing this a long time, 16 years in fact. I'm probably selling since before I could walk and talk. And I have to say, not a lot of accounts like Disney and Dell come up to me and say, hey, Tonia, build me a campaign. And the reason why is because large corporations strategically hire entire marketing teams to build their campaigns for them. So if we're not going to be building many campaigns, what do you think we're going to be doing for our customers? You're like, we're here for a building campaigns presentation, Tonia, so get on with that. We're going to be offering our clients concepts and ideas to support client-driven campaigns. Okay, so I wanted to get down to that right away. All right, so today we're going to talk about the processes that a salesperson should go through to support their client's marketing campaign efforts. I can't come in here and talk to you about building campaigns without first knowing, especially because we have so many new people in the industry in this room, without first knowing that, that you have the ability to get in the kitchen to actually hook up some ideas for your customers, right? I have to get you at bat with your customers. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more about myself, and I kind of gave it away by saying something about the kitchen. I'm actually a pretty good chef, and I promise you this will go somewhere. I'm a pretty good chef. I get to stand in my kitchen and create much like I do at the office all day long. My friends enjoy my cooking so much, they'll actually come over and they'll actually watch me cook. My favorite dish is Tonia's lasagna. My friends and family all affectionately call that Tonia's lasagna, and I think that happened to stick because lasagna is the only word in the English dictionary that actually rhymes with Tonia. And also because my lasagna is absolutely superb. I'm pretty sure that I'm a good chef, but guess what? I can't bake. I can't bake to save my life. I could quite possibly be the worst baker on the face of the planet. My first cake was an angel food cake. My husband asked me to bake him a cake, popped it in the oven, took it out of the oven, it smelled great. Walked it to the counter, got it to the counter, and I couldn't get it out of the nonstick pan. I had to go get a butter knife. And I'm prying this cake out of the pan. Right as my husband walks into the room, the cake pops out of the pan, hits the counter, lands on the floor, where it shatters to a million pieces because it's as hard as a brick. My first cake turned out just like that. At TAG, some of the time, I get to be a chef. I get to stand in my kitchen, I get to cook up ideas for my customers, but not all the time. Some of the time, I have to be a baker. I have to follow a set of rules, right? Processes, a recipe. I have to be more strategic because in building campaigns for your client, you're doing something pretty major, right? So you actually have to be more strategic. So what I've done for you today is I've actually built you a recipe to hopefully garner some success for you in building killer campaigns. I need a dollop of differentiating myself from the competition. I need a scoop of understanding the client and project scope. I need a dash of creative elements mixed with my assets and a team brainstorming session to serve up the perfect killer campaign. Okay, so that's the recipe that we're going to follow for the rest of the day here. Tonia's recipe with love from Tonia. Hopefully you like that. Okay, so, like I said before, the problem is before I can assist my buyers in building a successful campaign, I first have to earn my client's business, don't I? I can't come talk to you about supporting your client building a killer campaign without knowing that you're in the kitchen. So I want you to do me a favor. Raise your hand for me if you can say you or your organization is or are any one of these things. Who out there is creative? Oh, good. I hope we all raise our hands here, right? We all do. Okay. How many of you are resourceful? Anybody intuitive? Who works for a big company? There must be some boundless people out there, right? And so, okay, good. All right, award-winning. I'm an award-winning company. Okay. I want you to remember all of those things that you just said that you are. Indulge me for a few seconds. I want to play for you a little video that addresses all of those things. And this is going to take just a few awkward seconds to load. And by the way, I'm going to tell you now, this is supposed to be funny. I just want to hear some laughing, okay? It's supposed to be funny. Might miss the marks.
Here at Schrock and Ho Advertising, we believe in big ideas. Innovation, media neutral, media infinite, amplified activation, 360-degree, collaborative, client-centric, integrated, seamless, smaller, more nimble, leaner, meaner, yet bigger, with more global, multinational, proprietary systems reach, all run by the best talent your budget will buy us. We will find the brand truth, throw it against the wall to see what sticks, to drive your business. We will then translate them in compelling ways across all touch points, always respecting your customer's taste and intelligence, translating to a higher level of attention and involvement, all mirroring the latest trend in pop culture. Oh yes, and if you act immediately, we'll throw in brand building. Absolutely free.
And we speak Spanish too, that's the best part of the whole video. All right, Schlock & Ho is obviously a made-up company. They don't exist. YouTube reports that this entire monologue has been pulled from various agency websites, marketing companies, ad agencies, promotional products businesses, just like ours. Virtually all of us try to use these marketing buzzwords to differentiate ourselves from the competition by promoting ourselves as full service, creative, bigger, award-winning, as if this creates a distinction from you to me. Those are marketing buzzwords, and clients are getting tired of marketing buzzwords, and we created them, right? We're marketing, so we created those buzzwords. I'm here to tell you that marketing buzzwords don't create a distinction from you to me. So what does create a distinction from you to me?
The value we create.
The value you create with your company is the only, or with your clients, is the only thing that creates a distinction from you to me. It's not the buzzwords you use to describe your work that differentiates you from me. It's the actual work that you do. It's your ability to contribute to your client's bottom line that earns you business and keeps your customers coming back to you. So I actually say this during some of my big board meetings. I go out to a client and I listen and I'm asking questions throughout the whole board meeting, and I'll get all the way to the end of the meeting and I'll realize that I haven't said a single word about tag. I haven't said anything about tag at all. And so I'll actually say to my customers at the very end, because I need to say something about tag, I need to say that I can sit here and tell you all day long what we can do for you. But the only way that I can really show you what we can do is to what? Do the work for you. So give us a chance. Don't be afraid to ask your customers for a chance. Because ultimately what we're doing is we're trying to create value, right? So we're talking a lot about creating value with our customers. There's other ways to create value with your customers. I like to approach every new project or campaign or promotion with a fresh new set of questions. I want to ask, who am I doing it for? What am I doing? How am I going to go about it? And can I create impact? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters to you is will your ideas sell? Will your ideas earn you a paycheck, right? Because that's what we're all about. We got to make some money in this business, right? So we'll break those down a little bit more as we go along. Let's talk about creating more value with the customer, the client. Client's so important. Actually, when I prepared this presentation very early on at the onset, I actually kind of sent a kind of dummied version that wasn't quite done to somebody at ASI, I can't remember who it was, and they thought that maybe I should eliminate some of this client stuff in building campaigns, but no matter which way I looked at it, no matter which way I threw it up into the air, I realized I couldn't get rid of the all-important client information because it's so important. I can't build campaigns without really making sure you guys understand more about how important the client is in that, in the grand scheme of things. So what's happening is the pace and magnitude in marketing is changing. It has clients confused and really frightened. On top of that, they're confused and frightened. They've also kind of grown to be more scrupulous, right? They know where to find everything that you have to offer any place else on the web, right? They can find it faster, cheaper, better, but they still come to you, and they come to you because they trust and value your relationships. So somewhere along the lines, your clients are starting to look at you and they're starting to have trust and value the relationship enough to maybe put you in a position where you can actually be valuable to them in their campaigns, because campaigns have a bigger budget, right, normally? So with that said, clients don't need any longer a partnership, in my opinion. Clients are looking for leadership, guidance, solid recommendations. They want you to help them take their products and services to an enlightened consumer in a rapidly changing media environment. So remember, it's the value that you bring to the table that differentiates you from me, right? Understanding the client offering solutions to their marketing problems is really half the battle in all of that to build a successful campaign. So clients ultimately want to know that you understand their company and their category. When was the last time you did any amount of research on your customers? I work with Disney. Can you imagine if I didn't constantly research Disney and their upcoming films? What would happen to me? My competitors would leave me in the dust. I need to know about every new film that's coming to market. I've got to ask questions. I have to seek out answers. I have to study my clients and sometimes study the competitors as well. Take a look at what other studios, for instance, are doing to market their upcoming film releases. I like to send my clients articles and links to trade publications. Super important. Large corporations, and most of this presentation is kind of tailored around to working with large corporations. One hand doesn't feed the other. One division, marketing, is not always talking to publicity or vice versa. So sometimes I'll happen upon something newsworthy, send it out to my buyer and say, hey, did you see Disney's doing this? And they'll actually say, yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't see that. Publicity, we never saw that from publicity. So one hand doesn't feed the other, and don't assume that it does. Be sure to define your planning process with your customer. So after you've done all this research and homework about the customer, this is something you need to do ongoingly. It's something you do for a long time, through the relationship of working with your customer. After I meet with a client, after I get a firm handle on the project or the campaign, I want to turn around and send my client a defined planning process. I want to send them an email following up on the meeting, thanking them for the time. Here are the things that we discussed, and outlining for them my next steps, or where I'm going to take it, what I hope to do for them, so that they have a clear understanding of my planning process, which I have now defined for them. And then, if you send your client along the way ideas, before you actually get to a giant presentation for a campaign, if you send them ideas along the way, that's okay. But just make sure that you back them up. Here's why this product ties in to your marketing efforts. Make sure that you back it up, and there are ways to do that with case studies. Just say it ties in this way because, just give them more information. All right, so now we can cross off differentiating ourselves from the competition and creating value. We can now get down to talking about project scope. What is project scope? The answer's right up there. Everything that is involved to create the deliverables. It's basically all of the logistics involved that you have to pull together to get products to the customer. There are three things that go through the mind of average new salespeople, I think. And that is quantity, budget, and artwork. Let's call it QPA. Quantity, budget, and artwork. Your client calls you, and let's say it's just a promotion or an order. First thing that goes through your mind is, oh, the artwork is pretty cool, because if I get the artwork, then this deal is mine, right? You've got the deal. Well, guess what? That doesn't really happen anymore, because clients, especially from large corporations, they'll send their artwork out all willy-nilly. They'll send it to anybody who will take a look at it, and they're waiting for ideas to come back to them that resonates with them, that connects with their campaign goals. So it's good for them to send it out to as many people as possible. The other thing that's going through your mind is quantity and budget, because now you can effectively, as a salesperson, calculate your commission, right? Guess what? You hang up with the customer, you got those pieces of information, you hang up with the customer, and you're sitting at your desk, and you realize, I didn't quite get enough information, did I? So basically, project scope involves all of those other things. You need more information. It's concerned with the work, and only the work that must be done in order to create the deliverable. The project scope is concerned with the work and only the required work to complete the project, nothing else. Anything else that gets in the way is actually scope creep. Scope creep costs your company a lot of money, costs you money, it takes time away from you. In this business, certainly, time is money. Scope creep, an example of scope creep for me would be, let's say we're working on a campaign and we're pretty much at the tail end of it. We have all of our ideas kind of solidified. And my team's putting it all together in a presentation. I come in the morning with my morning coffee and I'm sitting down at my desk and a supplier email pops in. That's kind of an interesting concept. It's a techie, gadgety item. And my client's a technology client. I'm thinking, this idea is kind of cool. Yeah, it kind of works. It's kind of in the budget. I'm going to send it out to my team. And I'm going to have them put a logo on it, virtual sample it, send it back to me, and we're going to get this into this presentation for the client. Well, they do all that, comes back to me, has all of those things on it, and guess what? I don't like it. I wasn't committed to it in the process. I have now just expended all of my resources and time getting that product, back to me, and it never resonated. I wasn't committed to it along the way. So scope creep costs you a lot of money. If you actually think, gosh, I can't do any more work, I'm so tired. You're working as hard as you can to especially, earn that paycheck. Definitely make sure that scope creep is not getting in your way. I could spend a whole day talking about scope creep and how much it actually costs companies money. Okay, so, all right, so now we can check off differentiating ourselves from the competition, creating value with our customers. And we've talked about project scope. It's now time to talk about working with our elements. Do you guys know what creative elements are? Okay. Creative elements is basically, your creative elements and your assets are basically everything that you have in the kitchen to cook. From your chefs to the utensils in your drawer, it's basically everything that you have in your arsenal. Most people just assume that artwork is all you've got to go on when it comes to building a campaign for your client. That's not the case. Elements, I've broken this down into two categories for you. Elements are basically everything that your client helps you with or provides you in some way, shape, or form. It could be media that they have, it could be news. Social media is huge. Clients actually will talk about products or services coming to market by using social media, and if you are not connected to your clients from a social media standpoint, you absolutely should be, and I'm sure 10,000 other people have talked about that in the last week to you. The artwork is important. Make sure that you have all of the artwork, the identity guidelines. If you're working with a large corporation, you want to make sure you know how to actually use that logo. Most large corporations like Disney and Dell will have branding identity guidelines that they can provide you, so you know that, what logo can go on a dark product, so it kind of gives you some ideas on how to use the product. Are you guys familiar with branding identity? Okay, guidelines? Okay, great. So, client's website and marketing materials. So that's the stuff that you can find, right? You can use the web and you can go out and seek this stuff up. Assets are basically everything else that you have to work with. These are the utensils in your own private drawer. The web, I use the web, and I know you guys, we all Google things, right? But most of the time, I think we're pretty structured and going straight to our industry resources, which I absolutely think is necessary that you do. But don't forget to use the web for ideas. It just happened not too long ago, 2 weeks ago, we were asked to do a bag for Remax, right? It was Remax. They were looking for a translucent bag with a tubular handle with a pocket for a business card. Couldn't find it anywhere. We used all of our industry tools, couldn't find it anywhere. We came up short. We used the web. We found a bag. Then we took that bag back to our preferred supplier and said, hey, can you source this for us? So be sure to use your industry suppliers, come back to them. Make sure you do that. But also make sure that you're using the web, because it's a great tool to actually search for items as well. And also helps you to kind of, I'm going to say it, think outside the box, be forward thinking, and use ideas that maybe you didn't come up with through your normal industry research tools searching. So finally, social media, and make sure you, again, have case studies. It's time for most of you, probably if you've been in the industry for, let's say, about 2 years, that you can actually start building your own case studies library. Write down after you finished a presentation or project or successful engagement with your customers, write your own case studies. Why was it successful? Because I assume that you followed up with your customer, checked with them, and figured out why it was successful for them. So make sure that you write it down and you refer to it or use it, draw on it later on. Your clients will start to view you as a market leader when you start to present ideas that work for them. Okay, so we have now differentiated ourselves from the competition. We've created value. We can check off project scope and assets and elements. Now it's time for me to take off my baker's hat, because I've been wearing my baker's hat, right? I've been more strategic, and I'm going to put on my chef's hat, and I'm going to start doing the creative work. This is the stuff that really rocks my boat, being creative. This is where you get to take all of those things that we just talked about, we get to pull them together, and we get to build a successful presentation. This is the campaign part. If you get the recipe right, you'll have a delicious campaign. If you get it wrong, you'll have nothing more than a cake that shatters to a million pieces when you drop it on the floor. And by the way, cake should never be on the floor. That's just my thoughts there. So let's talk about brainstorming. Brainstorming is probably the thing that rocks my boat the most, because at TAG, brainstorming for me is where we really get to connect as a team. We're in a creative services business. We get to sit around. We get to throw out ideas, we get to hash them out, and we don't care if the idea is good or bad at this point. It's okay to laugh. Sometimes people laugh, but I don't even think that's appropriate. It doesn't matter if an idea is good or bad. You thrash them out, you see if anything connects, if anything resonates, and how does it tie into the actual project or the campaign. Because that's the most important thing. Analysis, criticism, that comes later. So brainstorming is a spontaneous group discussion to produce ideas and ways of solving problems. Producing an idea or way of solving a problem by holding a group discussion is how you start to present great ideas to your customers. Don't forget, team brainstorming is great. How many of you actually brainstorm with your team? Do you see, anybody. You can brainstorm with your neighbor if it helps you. Brainstorm is so important. I do, solo brainstorming sessions in the shower, on the drive to work. Wake up sometimes at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll have a jotter next to my bed because an idea connects with me. So make sure that you're brainstorming as often as you can, especially with your team, and do it yourself. So after all of that, you've got the ideas, you've kind of worked them through with your team. You now move into the evaluation stage. This is the most important part of the brainstorming session. You have to ask yourself, do these ideas work for the client? Do they address the client's wants? True story, a couple weeks ago, actually probably about a month ago, we were presented with a campaign project for a large studio. And somebody that we work with all the time, have a great relationship, and the client gave us a wealth of information. They gave us wonderful artwork, great assets. We had everything that we could possibly ever want, need, or desire to work with for this client. The email, the body of the email, the client basically sent me an email outlining what their own marketing team specifically thought could work for it was a DVD on pack. So they gave us some ideas that marketing might be interested in, but hey, Tonia, we want a lot of ideas from you as well. Long story short, we prepared one of the most beautiful presentations that I've ever seen from TAG, very creative. Everything tied in nicely to the campaign goals. We submitted it to the client all wrapped up in a neat little bow. Client emailed us back and said we actually went with one of the items that we came up with, our marketing team came up with. Guess what we forgot to include in our presentation? We forgot to address the 5 ideas, the 3 or 4 or 5 ideas that their marketing team asked us to take a look at. So we just left that out completely. So we didn't even address the client's wants in that particular presentation. That happens a lot. You're reading emails, you're sitting at your desk, and time's flying by, and you've got only so much time to respond to that email, and you miss a line, you miss some words, you miss some information. Don't miss that information because your client's wants are there specifically for a reason. So always be sure to slow down and work smarter and not harder. You have to ask yourself, do the ideas that you've now brainstormed, do they create value? Do they create impact somehow? Because impact will get your ideas sold. And are they to scope? Are they within budget, within time frame, to approved specs, and do they match your client's campaign goals? All right, so we're now checking off brainstorming in our little recipe here. We're now moving on to the process of building a killer campaign. We're now executing all of those ideas with our resources, our pricing, our virtual samples. Everything that you have connected with from your team, you've sent out to your suppliers. I'm assuming that you've wowed and dazzled your customer and you've actually gotten to this point in the process. And you've used your resources, you've searched the web, you've gotten all of your pricing together, and you're putting everything together in your presentation to take back to your customer. By this point, you should be ready to present a winning presentation or a killer campaign. All right? So, I'd like to talk to you about an actual campaign that TAG created for one of our own customers, Motive Entertainment, Derby Dragons. Down in the lower left-hand corner is what we call one-sheet art in the entertainment industry. So it's basically a little miniature poster. So it's a real-life campaign. I have to read this to you. I know it feels a little winded, but we'll get through it faster if I'm actually reading more information about Motive Entertainment. Motive designed and executed Icon Productions' grassroots marketing campaign for Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ, one of the most successful movie campaigns ever. Motive's strategy for success is based on a unique system of highly effective, proprietary methods that connect with consumers at a deeper cause-based level. So that's a bit about Motive Entertainment. So they work on grassroots stuff, anything that has a cause. They came to us and they gave us the scope. And obviously this is just part of the project scope. They wanted us to build a promotional product campaign that gets distributed to the media and the public. They wanted us to create buzz and awareness. It was a summer release with, they were looking for items that were $10 or less per item. So what we had to work with, the elements that we got from the client were absolutely beautiful, and I think we got a couple of these in the slideshow. They were absolutely gorgeous. First of all, they gave us, well, before we get to the elements, this is one of the assets that they gave us, which is the movie synopsis. It's a story of a London-based investigative journalist, and everything highlighted here in bold is, I want you to kind of remember those words. Investigative journalist Robert Torres, who visits Spain to research a book about Jose Maria Escriva, the controversial founder of Opus Dei. But Robert hits a wall both professionally and personally when his most promising source, his own father, Manolo Torres, turns out to be his least cooperative one. Robert begins to unearth his father's toxic secrets when he learns that Manolo was not only born in the same Spanish town as Jose Maria, but that they were childhood friends who attended the same seminary. Okay, so one more piece to that, synopsis 2. The two men take on very different paths in life, with Jose Maria dedicating his life to his faith while Manolo is swept into the brutal and tumultuous Spanish Civil War. Manolo descends into a dangerous and jealous obsession when the beautiful Hungarian revolutionary Ildiko doesn't return his affections and instead gives herself to the courageous military leader Oriol. As Robert continues to unearth the secrets of Jose Maria's life and Manolo's mysterious anger, their overlapping journeys are revealed with the truths and sorrows of their past choices, which compels Manolo to confront his own secret with one last opportunity for forgiveness. Sounds like a pretty interesting film, right? It's actually in theaters now. We should all go see it. So, using the client's creative elements. We got a host of artwork from the client, and this was the one that compelled me the most. This is the one that kept screaming at me. I loved the dragon, the evil dragon wrapped around, the cross. It's like, depicts good and evil, right? The cross is aged, antiqued, has that hand-carved effect into this old antique cross. Stormy skies, good and evil right there. So we use this artwork a lot. The problem is, like most artwork, when it's 4-color process like that, see how that bottom section, that's the logo? They didn't have just a title treatment. It was embedded in 4-color process artwork. So what do we have to do? We have to start working with what we have, right? Beautiful poster, now we need a logo. We might want to use some of these elements. We have to start walking through the process of building a campaign for a client by using what we have to work with. So using our assets, this was another thing that we had. We had a trailer that we could find on the web.
Jose Maria? Oh, quick! Quick, get the doctor!
Not one of us is free from human weakness. I didn't know whose side I was on anymore.
All right, so pretty interesting, right? Just like a professional baker, I have to look at at the assets that I have to work with, and I have to suggest to my clients ideas that connect with them. This trailer is powerful, the artwork's powerful, but we had to start breaking it down and now get to the point where we're actually pitching ideas to our clients. So there's the artwork that we started with, and I knew that I wanted to use the 4-color process artwork, but I also wanted to do 1-color artwork, so we put this into our creative department. And you see how we actually got rid of the 4-color process background. We actually traced that artwork line by line. When it came out of the creative department, that was kind of step 2. The dragon started to take on kind of a color by numbers effect. I didn't like it at all. The title treatment, I don't know, it just wasn't colorful. We had to start working with it, but we needed 1-color line art. So I had them remove the dragon. The dragon needed to go away completely. I wanted to just see the cross because I knew that I wanted to create something with that cross and only that cross. So before we get into Tag's presentation and some of the ideas we created for our customers, this is where I want this to be more interactive. And I want you guys to start now maybe suggesting products that you would have pitched. And you know, a lot of what I'm talking about from this point on is borders kind of proprietary information. You're getting inside of my head, and we're actually going to show you real life ideas that we came up with. But I want to actually hear from you. What would you present for this film? Mark?
Maybe I missed this already, but my apologies if I did, but did your client tell you who the recipient of what you're going to be creating and what, maybe you already knew that? And
That's a good question. Yeah, you know, this is really tough. This hour session is actually probably really tough because you can't build campaigns in an hour. I can't compress 16 years of industry knowledge into 1 hour effectively on this particular topic, I think. Yes, the client actually outlined for us that many of the items initially would be used for the general press to create buzz and awareness. Eventually, the products would then go out to a broader audience. The end user would be an individual consumer, anybody going to see the show. So that's a great question. Thank you for bringing me back there. So now that we know that, I'd love to hear from you what ideas might resonate with you for this
Well,
one.
I do have a question. Maybe it's not touching on what you were asking for, but basically what they did was it showed you the trailer, and then you had to come up with some ideas.
That's a great question too. No, our clients, most large corporations, they give you in my opinion, they give you very little to go on. You have to start uncovering information. You are an investigator in this business. You're going to unearth the information. This trailer, it's available on the web. I know that because I'm a seasoned professional. I've been working in the entertainment industry for 16 years.
Okay, so they already had the trailer.
The trailer was built. It was online. It wasn't something that they supplied me. I went out seeking it to see if the trailer was live. In the entertainment industry, I could be working on, let's say, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I could be working on that film 18 months before the film's out of production. So I don't have a title treatment. I don't have artwork. I have absolutely nothing to go on. So what do I have to do? I have to put on my investigative journalist hat, and I have to go out and find as much information. I have to scour the web. I have to find the information, kind of extract it, use it, hopefully, to present ideas that connect or resonate with my client. So there's a lot involved there. Anybody else thinking of any ideas? Yep, back there.
Well, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking that goes along with, where do you see that type of artwork? Do you see it on a chain or a necklace or something that people would wear? Hey, that's a really cool dragon wrapped around that cross. It gets people asking questions. Where do you get that? What's it about? So it does spread a buzz.
That's right. So you see some sort of a jewelry, emblematic, or something else there. Okay, that's
Usually
good.
it's $10 or less, so that doable.
How many of you ever actually go over budget with your clients? If somebody calls you and says, I have a $10 budget, How many? Okay. It just came up in a conference call the other day where a client actually had a $1,500 total budget and to work with, but a new account, technology company. And the client said she only wanted to spend $1,500, but we wanted to present ideas kind of in the dream world too. We wanted to see where she could go. She pushed her budget up just a little bit further. So we presented ideas below budget, because you never know. There's somebody higher up who squelches her budget entirely and says you have less money to spend now. Or, you know, worst case scenario, she just goes with the actual budget. But there is no harm in presenting upwards over your client's budget. In fact, I encourage it. I think it's a great idea. And you'll be surprised at how many times you actually will go over your client's budget limitations. You know, why everybody knows about the fries with your order from McDonald's story. You know, when they started to make so much money as a result of that one question, people coming through the line, would you like fries with your order? Don't forget to upsell your customers as well on packaging, you know, different things that you can do to create kind of a bigger budget, because your clients are going to appreciate that you're taking the extra time to give them, you know, solutions. All right, so ideas?
I would have looked at a Skinnets, but, you know, for your phone. But on the cross, were you concerned at all that you're excluding some demographic?
They're grassroots entertainment companies, so they tailor, you know, films like Chronicles of Narnia, you know, where it has some religious undertone, or some religious undertone can be extracted from it. Passion of the Christ, cause-based marketing. You know, they have Hispanic, you know, where they cater specifically to Hispanic clients. So no, you know, when we're working whatever the client needs. And in this case, you know, the religious undertone was kind of fun because, you know, we don't get those very often. You know, we're not supposed to talk religion and politics very often. So, any others? I'm going to pick you apart till you come up with it. Yep.
My first thought was mixing like military with the cross, like a dog tag shape, like one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You know, the military was such a big, strong presence in the trailer, right? It's in the movie. So you've got the Spanish Civil War. So things that people in the military might be wearing, using, thinking along those lines, apparel, and other things. Yep.
The imagery was so great, but I keep hearing the bell ringing in the preview. So I don't know, maybe something along the bell line also, calling attention to the cause, calling attention to forgiveness, or maybe you're tapping out by ringing your bell or whatever it is, but that seems like an important piece.
That's interesting, Stephanie Reichman from Tagged Creative Source. You didn't come up with that in our brainstorming session, but I like that. That's actually really cool. A bell of some sort. Yeah, that's good. You know, because, you know, the religious undertone there, you know, the church bells ringing. You're right, the bells were pretty significant throughout the trailer. So anybody else? Yes?
We're looking for ideas, especially marketing ideas. I would detach myself from the cross and the dragon both, and I would look for what's behind the cross and what's the meaning of the cross, and then what's behind the dragon, and why they are together, and then I would find other elements to work with, and maybe pass on the cross and find something more creative.
Right,
That's
right.
the meaning. There is a Bible, there is a saying, there is other tools that I can use or something else.
So you're thinking something with, you know, with the deeper meaning that really hones in the religious aspect in the film. I agree 100%. You know, I know some of our suppliers in our industry have those Bible book covers. Who offers those? Gemma, is it Gemma? I'm giving Gemma a little plug here. Hello, Gemma. I think Logomark has them as well, all in one line. So yeah, you want to actually drive home that religious element and actually focus on the Bible, the actual Bible. You know, they're in a seminary, they're walking around, ministers, or priests, excuse me. So, what else? Anybody else?
Well, you're sticking with the basic where you just have your four-color logo on, as you said, logo on water bottles, playing on fire and water.
Well, that's a good idea. That's actually a really good idea. What about a lighter, a Zippo lighter? I mean, you know, why not? You know, everybody needs to light a barbecue, so the fire and water, that's interesting.
Gotta get epoxy.
Yeah, that's really a good idea. Anybody else? Yep.
maybe you said you're sending it to the media, members of the media, so maybe a high-end notebook that had, is an unusual kind of maybe a 5x7 or 5x8 something with very interesting textures, since you're getting rid of the full color, but yet the logo is very interesting, so maybe some texture material, assuming that the media are always taking notes and writing things and probably.
That's right. That also ties in nicely to another element in the film. What was that? You know, nice notebook because it's media and journalist because, you know, he was a journalist, right? And he was out seeking information. He was trying to uncover truths. So, you know, journal definitely connects really hard in this film, I think. So, yep.
My wife had an idea, and from this perspective here, it looks like above the dragon's head, that could represent a face somehow, morphing into the dragon, and as it's a triumph of good over evil, you could play on both of those ideas.
Yeah. How, though? Tell me how, specifically. Products, think products.
I don't really know what their idea.
Right. So what we're doing here, folks, we're conducting a real-life brainstorming session, aren't we? This is how it happens. This is how you do it at home or in the office. You know, you just kind of throw out ideas, and nobody's laughing, you know. Anything, you know, let's go around the room just real quickly, and everybody just throw out an idea. Without even thinking, I'm going to go here. Idea. Idea.
Double-sided stones.
A foam rubber dragon.
Foam rubber dragon.
Terry.
No? That's a what?
Stuffed animal.
Stuffed animal?
I kind of have a question. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What was it? On your industry, maybe I'm a little slow here, but what?
I'm probably too fast.
Okay.
Actually, I got a sign. I'm going way too fast. I need to slow
So
down.
I guess what you're saying now is you're looking how to market it? Is that the question? Or are you still looking how to?
We're coming up with ideas here right now. What we're doing is we're brainstorming ideas together that, let's say hypothetically, you're on my team. You work for Tag Creative Source, and you're sitting in our offices, and we're having a brainstorming session collectively. We're going around the room, and we're just throwing out ideas, all willy-nilly. It doesn't matter if they make sense or connect right off the bat. What we're trying to do is just kind of open up our minds, because when you open up your minds and you think outside of the box, you start to become more creative, naturally. So that's what we're doing right now is an exercise in brainstorming. We actually, in this campaign, we actually came up with some ideas. We give you some of our examples, okay?
Okay, so then one of the thoughts that comes to my mind is a helmet.
A helmet?
Right.
What
Because
kind of helmet? Motorcycle helmet?
No, like the helmets that,
The World War II ones.
Ah, what would you do with the helmet? What's its use? What's its function? Because end users like highly usable and functional products.
Okay.
So, but I'm not saying it's a bad idea. but
Okay, I don't know, because I'm trying to figure out what
Yeah.
you're doing, but I know we're brainstorming now. But I was thinking like, you know, if it was a package that you was looking at giving away or putting on this particular logo, was like putting a helmet on, maybe hanging it on the side of the armored cross, or, you know, putting it on the dragon head or something, I don't know.
Right.
Or putting some of your promo items in that helmet to give them.
Ah, see, this
Packaging.
now, your team is helping you out. You came up with an idea that everybody's like, how's that gonna work, a helmet? What's its use? What's its function? Your team is now
So
basically
now I get it, thank you.
building upon your idea and helping that connect to a greater purpose. Now, the greater purpose is, you say, why not package product in the helmet? What kind of products are we packaging, Stephanie, in the helmet?
A lot of what we talked about here is great because they are lower cost items. Also, let's not forget about everything that people love day to day, t-shirts. I think a stationery set would go really well with this. Of course, we
Maybe
have
that journal goes in this helmet that is somehow packaged. So what do? You use your industry research tools to go out and search out military helmets. It doesn't have to be exactly from the era. It doesn't have to look vintage or aged. That sometimes can actually be accomplished in the decorating processes, right? You know, but maybe we're going to now start, like Indiana Roots gone. Maybe now we're going to start taking a look at an idea and taking it steps further. Anybody else have any ideas? Mark?
That cross with all the elaborate full color art called a light that's coming behind it on the top left. I think that there's some inks that are now in the imprinting process that can change color
Right,
to actually maybe when that's out in the sun, it'll become brighter or something.
right,
Sun
solar
does-
inks,
the
yes.
Solar inks.
Yeah, there's also glow-in-the-dark ink. So yeah, that's some pretty impressive, artwork, and you can somehow, replicate that beautifully with some of the more modern decoration techniques. Also with that artwork, four-color process printing is just beautiful because why? Because it's beautiful artwork. You don't need to do much to it. Yes?
You said this is for media journalists?
Initially, it's for media and journalists, but we're thinking smarter instead of harder, and we want the ideas to connect